We have Jeremy Halpern joining us. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, how are
He's
you?
partner and co-chair of the Food and Beverage Group at law firm Nutter, McLennan and Fish. How's the show going so far?
It's going great, thank you.
Good, good, good. Well, I have a quote from you from a throwback. Boot Camp Summer 2019.
I deny
remember
it
that?
in advance.
Do you remember? I slightly remember it. You said something really interesting. You said the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. You know, we've got a lot of emerging brands in the mix, might not really understand on interacting with investors for the first time and how those relationships work. What can you give as advice for those guys starting out?
Sure. One of the most important things is for people to start the process way before they actually need the money. And that means building a network, not just of investors, but of industry players, lawyers, accountants, banks, investment banks, a lot of the branding agencies, a lot of the influencer agencies. People are very interconnected in this world. And so the time to start that networking process is not the moment you think, oh, I need to close on money in 60 days, right? That's a year in advance. That's building relationships and then starting that investment process much earlier than you think you actually need to start making the round. So that's probably the number one thing.
So basically start as soon as you think of it.
Really, you should be doing it all the time. What's the joke? Always be branding, right? So if you're a CEO, it's always be raising. You're always in money raising. You're always in recruiting mode. You're always in strategic development mode. And it's easy. There's so much to do. I have so much respect for the entrepreneurs. They have so much to do. And it's easy to push off fundraising because product development and sales and marketing efforts and recruiting and all of these things that are so important. And so you push it off and you push it off and you push it off, and then it's panic mode. And that often is when you may not be able to raise the money, or maybe on much worse terms or with the partners you don't want. And so always be raising. You're always making those connections so that when it's time, you have a really good set of materials, a really good set of communications, a really good story to tell with people that you've already connected with.
Mm. And when they're approaching those new investor relationships, what should they be thinking about? And how much should they prioritize just personal dynamics?
So yes, is I think the answer, because the personal dynamics are everything for early stage investing. They're mostly investing in the founder and the founder's passion, energy, smarts, vision. That's the driver. And so if you think that you can show up with like a beautifully written business plan and no personality, you are in deep trouble. They really do invest in the people at the earlier stage. That's less true. Later stage companies, if you're a $40, $50 million run rate company, they can invest in the business, and the team may be fungible. They may be able to put new management in, or new management may want to come in. The founder may want new management to come in. They may want to change their role or their dynamic. But at the early stage, the team is everything. So always treat people with respect. Always be forthright with people. I always say own your risks and the bad stuff. Like, don't be afraid of saying, oh, this thing didn't go well. Here's what we learned from it. Here's what we're doing. Confidence is huge. Vision is huge. The ability to convey to investor, hey, you're in charge of other people's money, or maybe it's their own money, and saying, if you give it to me, if you entrust it to me, I can turn that into a return that's in the profile range that you're looking for, and that may be 3 times their money, 5 times their money, or if you're taking VC money, that's 8, 10 times the money they're giving you. So it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, lots to figure out when you're starting out. And what types of trends are you hearing people talk about in the industry that you're excited by?
A lot of them are now consistent over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's still around taste, innovation, clean labeling. I think today in the world of digital and mobile, the ability to communicate with the customer in a really effective way, and maybe that's a really slick way they roll out Instagram or Facebook or however they're communicating with the customer. But small brands in the old days had no way to talk to their customer other than demoing store by store, which was a terrible experience to have to do. Now they have that ability to communicate. So I think that's a really wonderful thing, because you can talk about your brand promise, you can talk about the vision, what distinguishes you, how it's different, and be a lifestyle brand, be an aspirational brand. They're connecting to a consumer where the consumer says, I'm a drink simple person. I'm a cauliflower foods person. That's how I think of myself. And that's a really powerful way to embed themselves with a customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these better for you brands really need to hone in on ingredients, and it can be hard to figure out what to put on the package. How are you talking to brands about Fda compliance and making sure that they're expressing their claims in the right way?
We always advise people, transparency is key. So sometimes people are thinking about like, gee, my product has too much of X, or I'm a little nervous about that. And the best way to deal with that is usually pretty head on, and to have a story about why this consumer should buy this product. And there are full indulgent products that say, we have lots of sugar and lots of fat, and it's delicious and it's worth every calorie. There are others who are really struggling with how they communicate that, and there were big changes when the sugar alcohols came in. There are changes recently around added sugar in particular, packaging size formats of being clear. If you've got 7 servings in a small package, like don't try and fake out the customer. That's kind of old school business practices. Tell them what's in the package and let them make that choice. And if you're forthright with them, then you avoid all the litigation stuff, but you also create a more loyal brand customer who says, nope, you've delivered on exactly the thing, that I wanted when I picked up this package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Just focus on being clear, concise, and truthful. It's a good message to take away, I think.
And it's also about authenticity, right? What does your brand stand for? And it's hard to say we're a better for you, care about the supply chain, care about the quality of the ingredients, but don't look at what the right hand is doing. That's not a real good way to go to market. And you never want to be in a position where you're going to get called out by a consumer or the media for being anything less than totally transparent.
Right. Well, what else are you looking forward to seeing at the show?
As always for me, the show, the most important thing actually is the community, and seeing clients, seeing friends, seeing prospects, but also just listening to the conversations and learning from people. It's probably heresy to say to you guys, but I learn as much outside the room as I learn inside the room. And I think that's what makes it such a powerful place to be, as opposed to, I love the content and being able to go back and reference it online, but there's no substitute for sitting at, just now at lunch and listening to the conversation around me. It was so interesting. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's such an amazing learning environment. I'm always hungry for more. I'm always sad when we are winding down at the end of the show.
I know, we really pack a lot into a couple days.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, and thank you for the whole team.
Thanks so much for watching NOSH. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ding that bell.